I received a lot of requests to take a second look at these extension cord or hose holder hooks, so let's take a look at that today. Black Bear Forge is sponsored by Combat Abrasives. Welcome back to Black Bear Forge. In a recent video, I talked about making a batch of these hose holders or extension cord hooks, whatever you want to call them, for the folks over on the Patreon site. I've got all those finished and ready to ship out, but since a lot of people asked, I thought we would go ahead and take a look at how I did these kind of as a production item. In the past, I've shown one that I have hanging on the wall over here with my air hose on it, and that one was cut out of a single piece. Takes a little bit more work and is not really a process that is well suited to production work. This is a two-piece hook that is riveted together, and it's much better suited for doing a production run. So today, let's take a look at how that's made. Materials for this project are pretty straightforward. I'm starting with a piece of 1/4 by 1, cut 15 inches long, so that's 16 millimeters by 25 millimeters by roughly 380 millimeters. The metric equivalents are approximate because they're not exact size. And that's the piece that does the main part of the hook, the actual thing that's doing all the work. But then you need something to kind of stress relieve so the extension cord or the hose isn't bent real sharp. And that piece is made out of 1/8 by 3.5 by 6, or 3 millimeter by 90 millimeter by 150 millimeter. I want to start this project by drawing a taper on the main part of the hook, and that's what we'll use for our split finial. We're also going to take a look at a couple of different options for making these split finials. This is a great opportunity to just let your imagination go and try a lot of different things. I made about 60 of these, and I found 3 or 4 different styles of tops that I kind of liked, and a whole lot that I didn't think came out as well as I wish they had. And because this was a production item, I used the power hammer to draw this out, so that's the way I'm going to show it in today's video. You can certainly do these at the anvil. This is an easy thing to draw out at the anvil. But when you're doing 60 of them, using a power hammer really speeds it along. Of course, these generally need to be cleaned up and straightened a bit at the anvil. As a production run, I'll do all of this to a large batch of them. In this case, that was the entire bunch of 60. And get them all to this point, let them cool. So that's a half a day, maybe a full day's work, depending on how many you're working on. But then while these cool, I can go on to something else. So I'm going to start working on the stress relief part of it, the little pad that holds the hose. And while it's still flat, I want to go ahead and mark and drill for the rivets. I used 1/4 inch rivets on these, although 1/8 would probably hold it. This isn't a high stress piece. I just chose 1/4 inch rivets. So I'm going to lay this out, mark a couple of 1/4 inch holes in there, drill it at the drill press. There's always a chance we'll deform those holes later and have to clean them back out. But they're easier to lay out and get in the right place if you do it while it's flat. To shape this, I have the luxury of a large swedge block I can turn up on edge that has just the right profile in it. You could also freehand this over the horn of the anvil or use a cut-off piece of pipe for a swedge, or even form it on the outside of a piece of pipe the right size. Heck, for that matter, you could probably just slice this out of a piece of pipe if you really wanted to, but that's a fair amount of cutting. Our next task then is to split this so we can spread it into some kind of a decorative finial, ram's horn, heart, or I'm really liking the kind of asymmetrical finial that I showed in the sample at the beginning of the video. And we're going to look at those 3 options as we do this. I've got a couple of these already split. In an ideal world, you split this with a chisel. I think chisel cutting looks way better. If you're just making a few of these, that's the way I would do it. But for a production run, that may not be the most efficient because after you split it, you need to clean up the rag. That usually ends up with some sharp, raggedy stuff on there. So it's going to take some hot rasping, some filing, some grinding, something like that. So for this production run, I opted to go with the little bandsaw and just eyeball a split down the center for the length of the taper. With the entire batch split, it's now time to go back to the forge and do all the finial ends on these, as well as put a little curl on this so that it's got some sort of a finish on this end. Now I don't have any jigs or fixtures. These are all done one at a time at the anvil, and I do it that way so there is some variation and they don't look like they were quite so mass-produced anyways. Plus it allows me to have a little bit of fun at the forge. I get to do all of these just a little bit different, and it's a good skill developer for trying to get all of these little scroll elements bent smoothly and cleanly. The first step then is just to open this up. That's quite easily done over a hardy, or you can just open it up with a hand chisel, something like that. Just keep your hand away from the hot spot. Once it's opened up, you need to make sure it's cleaned up, kind of straight, and there aren't any lumps, bumps, or odd spots in this. And you can clean up each side of the split separately that way. For the heart, I'm going to roll both sides into the middle symmetrically and then close up the heart and kind of tweak and adjust that as much as I need to do. But in reality, it's really a fairly simple element and it shouldn't give you too much trouble. Using a cone mandrel in the hardy hole can really give you a better view of what you're doing since you can look right down on it, and it helps a lot to keep things symmetrical. A pair of scrolling tongs or pliers can really help make the fine adjustments. Before I turn this around and work on the other end, I want to forge just a little bit of a bevel on the part that's going to show when this is hanging on the wall. I think that makes the whole thing look better in the long run. That will also provide me a good opportunity to put my touch mark in it. Now we'll turn this end for end, and I like to put a little fishtail scroll on the part that keeps the hose from falling off the front of the hook. This scroll should roll away from the side that will be the front, so away from where you put the bevel. Just like with that other piece, I prefer to drill the holes in this while it's flat. You could go ahead and bend it at this point and then lay it out and drill the holes, but I kind of like doing all that flat. I get it riveted together flat, and then I go ahead and bend it to the final shape, and that way I know it's going to fit that curved piece. It'd really be the pits to make it a little bit too tight for that. While this cools, let's take a look at a couple of different finial ends. The concept on these is essentially the same. It starts with the same split bar. The ram's horn is bent up symmetrically, but instead of scrolling into each other like you do with the heart, these scroll away from each other. And for the asymmetric version, I like to bend one like you do for the ram's horn and get it nice and low, and then the other one arches up over the top and bends in that same direction, so they're both bending left or they're both bending right. Again, use your imagination. You can probably come up with a dozen different variations, maybe even more than that, on what to do with this same starting point. I just eyeball how much I want this to stick out here. It's not particularly critical, at least not in my mind. Make a pencil mark. I always like to deburr the holes on things like this, and then I go ahead and countersink the top plate so that I can have a rivet that does not stick up too far. I'm not worried about it being perfectly flush though. I'm using a 1/4 by 3/4 rivet, and I'm not worried about a bottom rivet set. It's okay if this head flattens out a little bit on the underside. Rivets smaller than a 1/4 inch I almost always set cold, and rivets larger than a 1/4 inch I generally set hot. 1/4 inch can go either way. Make sure there are no sharp edges around the perimeter of the rivet. Then we can just drill through the hole in the top piece to line up our second hole. It's best to drill the mounting holes before you bend this. It'll be a lot easier on you. When I'm doing a big batch and I have the forge hot, I frequently just heat these in the forge and then selectively cool what I don't want to bend. But since the forge is already cooled off, I'm going to go ahead and use the torch, which in some ways is probably better. It just takes a little bit longer to heat. Well, here is our finished hose holder or extension cord holder, or even grinding belts. If you've got grinding belts that you use on a belt grinder, these would be great for that, but you need an assortment of them because you probably have more than one grit belt. This one's still too hot to hold on to. I went ahead and heated it up a little bit more after we finished bending it. Put some paste wax finish on there. That still needs to cool off and harden up some. I was going to go mount this on the wall because I have some more air hoses that need to be put up somewhere. They're just kind of hanging here and there right now. But I think instead this will be one that I put on the Etsy shop. So if any of you guys are looking for one of these, I'll probably list this one separate. So it'll be a one and only with the heart. I have several with the asymmetrical scroll on top. And I'll go hang one of these up and put my extension cords on one of these. But there'll still be 3 or 4 more of these that will be in the Etsy shop. But it'll be a separate listing than this one. I do hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have time in your day to get out to your shop, but be safe, wear your safety glasses. We'll see you for the next one.